Support for Sportspage is provided by First Central Bank, full-service banking from 7 locations in Warrensburg, Holden, Higginsville, and Odessa. First Central Bank, a residential mortgage lender, member FDIC. By the University Store. The University Store is the official headquarters for Mules and Jennies emblem clothing, gifts, and UCM memorabilia. Books, office supplies, art supplies, and more are available at the University Store, located on the lower floor of the Elliott Union on the UCM campus in Warrensburg. By Parker Supermarket and Pharmacy, a home-owned and operated store that listens to its customers. Whether it's a hypoallergenic formula or a new exotic vegetable, Parker strives to serve the unique needs of the area. The mission at Parker's is to make grocery shopping a welcoming experience. And promotional support for Sportspage is provided by 1450 Cocoa and 98.5 The Bar. 1450 Cocoa and 98.5 The Bar, the radio home of University of Central Missouri Athletics.
Coming up next on the season debut of the Central Missouri Sportspage, we'll chat with the head coach of the 12th-ranked Mules football team, Jim Svoboda. His ball club is 1-0 thanks to a record-breaking aerial attack versus Missouri Southern. We'll also talk UCM volleyball with the head coach of the 8th-ranked Jennies, Piontek. His team went north to face the top teams in the nation last weekend, and we'll tell you about it tonight. In our Sportspage Student-Athlete Spotlights, we'll get to know the new Mules starting quarterback who's anything but new to the program. And we'll look back at the kickoff event to the 2011-2012 academic and athletic year here at UCM. So stay tuned. An action-packed hour of Mules and Jennies sports comes your way next in our first edition of Sportspage. Hello again, everybody, and thanks for watching the season debut of the University of Central Missouri Sportspage. I'm your host, Sean Jones, and joining me to kick off a new season of the show is Mules football coach Jim Svoboda. Coach Svoboda, welcome back to the show.
Good to be back.
Well, you lost so much off last year's record-breaking team. You went 11-3 all the way to the national quarterfinals, but you lose 4 All-Americans, 5,000-yard passer, 1,000-yard rusher, 110 receptions at the receiver spot, over 80 at the tight end spot. 2 of those guys go to NFL camp. But all along this summer, you said, I feel really good about these guys who have been waiting in the wings. A lot of us got our first look at them on Thursday night, and I know you have to be impressed.
Well, it was a good start. Anytime you have a win your first game against an outstanding team in a conference game, you're happy about it. But not totally surprised. You know, we addressed this issue in terms of the guys that left. They were great players and we took it as a challenge, and our players took it as a challenge, and so they went to work back in January and February, and after we went through our testing, I felt really good about the unity of our club and the test results that we got in the weight room, and so in reality we're actually bigger and faster and stronger than we were a year ago. It's just a matter of putting those pieces together.
And don't you think a lot of that has to do with the buy-in? This program was hungry to take the next step. You arrived, the guys won 11 games, advanced to the final 8 in Division II, finished ranked 5th, and so they were still hungry. Now they're ready to take the next step. I know the summer workouts, the number of guys that stayed in town was at an all-time high. Do you think that that's just that hunger? These guys have tasted it, so they're maybe a little more prepared than normal heading into the season. They worked a little bit harder in the off-season as well?
I do, and that's the upside, and that's the, while we lost the players that we did through graduation, they also set the bar high, and so the players in our program know it can be done, and they're excited about it, and they know that we're very close to taking it even one step further last year. So it all goes back to we know what we want. What are we going to do about it in terms of preparation and off-season training, so forth.
You lost a lot, but you didn't bring in a whole lot of transfers. You really reloaded from within. A whole lot of guys who had waited their turn, had redshirted, had worked out, had been a part of the team but had not been on the field. They're the ones now getting their turn. And I think that really helps with team unity and continuity, and I know it's something you believe in.
It does. There's no question about that. And the more of those guys that you have that are integral part of what's going on, that experienced that last year, the better off you are. You bring a lot of guys that were from outside the program, you know, they really can't connect with that. You know, they weren't there. So the bottom line is we had plenty of good players that were here. It was just a matter of them getting their opportunity and developing themselves in the off season. And so, you know, we'll never get out of the transfer business. There's some outstanding players out there, but we just feel like we're going to build this thing from the high school ranks in the state of Missouri.
Well, let's go back to last week, and it seems like forever and a day ago that the Mules opened the season on September 1st against the Lions of Missouri Southern. We'll take a look at the highlights. It was actually the first time since 1949 a Mules team opened with a conference opponent. Not to mention, Coach, it was over 100 degrees at kickoff. We've enjoyed some fall weather since then, but it was a hot night, and it was a big game considering who you were playing, even a bigger game in the opener.
Yeah, it really was, and you know, our players were excited about it, and you know, I don't think anything was going to prohibit them from playing a great game.
Well, we had a 3-and-out the first series with all those new guys, so there you see the ball turned over to Missouri Southern via the punt. The Lions go on a march themselves, but how about that pick by Marlon Douglas, the All-American corner? Great concentration.
Well, he's got a knack. That's kind of Marlon, vintage Marlon right there.
And there's Jamar Howard. We'll see more of Jamar later on, not quite getting to the first down mark there, but again, stay tuned. We'll see some more from Howard. There's a great pop and a forced fumble that Southern recovered, but great job by the D-line.
Yeah, our defense in general, and D-line in particular, played an outstanding game.
85 plays they were on the field, too. Again, it was 100 degrees at kick. There's Andrew Bergeson, the Pirate from Hannibal, with the interception, kind of back there playing center field. Nice play.
Yeah, the defense did a great job taking the ball away. Unfortunately, early in the game, we didn't take advantage of it on offense.
And the Mules, again, not able to really get going. Tommy Corrin, his first career start as a graduate. How about that big hit by Montre Smith on special teams?
Special teams were solid.
Yeah, they really were. George Rickenstrick, pretty new as an assistant in charge of special teams. Good job there. Southern marches down, scores first. It's 7-0. Lions have the lead. And again, we mentioned special teams. How about a good kick return here from the All-American Marlon Douglas?
Well, field position is really the name of the game in the kicking game, and we had good field position most of the day.
So the Mules on the move. A penalty is going to slow this drive down a bit as David Cannon gets a good gain there. Actually, on a 3rd and 18, when you're moved back across midfield, down 7-0, you come up with this play. And you look back as 57 yards, Corwin to Dyer. People will forget you were down 7-0. That was a 3rd and 18.
That was a huge play in the game, and you know, Tommy did a great job seeing that single coverage on there, and we protected him just long enough to get the ball off. Great catch, great route.
So now we're tied. Southern kind of running that slow roll option. There's Garrett Smith from out of St. Pius in Kansas City with the sack, another veteran within this program. There's Adrian Perricone with the sack as well. So again, good performance by the Mule D-line. Very next play by the offense. This is the first play from this series. Corwin to Jamar Howard. And Jamar Howard's going to take it into the end zone for the score. So after starting 1 of 6, Tommy goes 10 of his next 10 with 3 TD passes. It's just like something clicked at that point.
Well, it did, and you know, early in it, we just don't panic. You know, I say, well, we could jump out early or not. Just play it as it comes, and you know, eventually we'll figure it out.
Look at Kyson Ginnivan staying in his lane there on special teams. Great tackle.
Again, field position there.
And so the Mules defense back out on the field. Again, 85 plays that unit was on the field, 38 minutes of this game. There's a pitch out in the flat, and one of the new Mules, Cameron Tornaden, transfer from Nebraska Omaha from out of Lawrence Free State. And there's Jamar Howard. Boy, he's a special player. Kind of reminds me of #1 last year, Jamoris Warren.
Yeah, there's some similarities there, that's for sure, and a lot of big play capacity all over this offense.
And there's a great catch and run by the tight end, David Cannon. He'll take that to the end zone. Cannon, a St. Louis product, and of course DeMarco Cosby playing for the St. Louis Rams on their practice squad right now. DeMarco, though, a very, very good player, obviously, for the Mules as an All-American. Cannon looks like he can follow right in the footsteps.
Well, we replaced 2 All-Americans in the receiving corps there, and we had 4 touchdown passes out of that unit. So
yeah, that's not bad. And there's a great catch by Dyer, one-hand style front of the end zone, and you can tell the kind of rhythm that Tommy Corrin and that offense are in right now. All of a sudden, it's 28-0. That didn't take very long. 28-7.
Right, and I think we scored 4 touchdowns in 9 or 10 plays there, and explosive plays are a big part of the game, and we emphasize it.
And you just found yourself with an advantage really across the board with the receivers. Southern, though, shows some grit. They get a turnover, come back after a field goal, get a score. They made this a game at halftime.
They did, and we got pretty aggressive right before halftime, and decided to go out there with our 2-minute offense with a pretty good lead, and we turned the ball over, and they did a great job of taking advantage of it and really gave them some momentum going in at halftime.
Yeah, but this was a big stop by your defense here, because this is a football team that was on the verge of seizing the momentum back in this game.
Yeah, it was. I think it was key, really, right there. They missed the field goal. Our defense was kind of bent but didn't break, and they missed the field goal, and we took it on the ensuing drive and scored, and I thought that was really the difference in the game.
There's an Olathe product, Kyson Ginnivan. Again, Tommy Corwin, what a story. The young man getting his first career start, graduated with a 3.77 in social studies last May. He convinced him to come back. He's working on his master's, and ties a school record, by the way, for touchdown passes, and a conference record to boot in his first career start as a senior. Nifty moves there, by the way, by Cameron Tornado.
Well, Tommy had a great game statistically, but he'll be the first one to tell you, you got to get some protection out there, and those kids got to run great routes and catch the ball. So it all works together, and I was just proud of our guys, how they hung in there and exploded.
There's Howard. Howard with 2 TD catches. Taylor Dyer with 2 TD catches. David Cannon with 2 TD catches. All 6 coming from Corwin. Coach mentioned it earlier. No sacks allowed by the Central Missouri offensive line. Hank McClung's group coming through doing a heck of a job. Here's a late score by Southern. The guys fighting hard there to keep him out of the end zone, but the Lions will get a score, and they'll stay in this ball game at this point. So this was an important point coming up for your football team. Again, you don't want to let them get back in the game, and you get a takeaway right here. Evan Knight gets the fumble recovery.
Such big plays there, and just seemed like later on when they got something going, we got it back and did something with it.
There's a big play out of the wild mule, as I call it.
Wild mule.
Ralph Watson with the run, and then another touchdown pass there to Cannon from Corwin. You see Tommy's numbers as we look at the final numbers. What a debut for Tommy Corwin in the starting job, replacing Harlan Hill winner Eric Cerneski, of course, the Harlan Hill, the Heisman Trophy of D2. Corwin throws 6 TDs, ties Eric's conference record, 397 yards passing, 22 of 34, 2 TDs for each of those aforementioned receivers, Dyer and Howard, and the tight end Cannon, as the Mules win it 42-24. How about the defense? 85 plays there on the field, 38 minutes and 15 seconds in 100-degree heat. So a very solid all-around performance for Mules football, I thought, in the opener.
Yeah, very, very happy with the performance. Solid is a good way to describe it, defensively and on our special teams, and then offensively, we really were efficient in terms of we probably actually scored 42 points in about 40 plays, because our first 10 weren't anything to brag about, and then the kids loosened up and played the kind of football they can.
A lot of the experts out there, of course, and fans love to have their opinions. That's what makes sports and fandom great. They said, well, the Mules didn't really show they could run the ball. Our broadcast partner, Greg Hassler, made a great point. When you wanted to run the ball in that game in the fourth quarter, when you had the lead, 10 carries for 45 yards. That's 4.5 yards a pop. So looks to me like you exploited a weakness, took advantage of it, but when you had to run it, you did.
We actually had a couple of decent runs early in the game, but I just feel like the ability to score points is probably the #1 statistic and take care of the ball, and I just didn't really feel comfortable, and I knew we obviously have some weapons out there, and you got to be aggressive, so we're going to do it.
Yeah, the object's to score points. They don't ask you how, and right. I've always been a big believer, why drive when you can fly?
I might adopt that slogan. I like that.
That's always been a thing with me. Well, let's start to look ahead now. Of course, every game big in the MIAA, especially when you start out playing conference competition. And this weekend, we're going to head on the road. Saturday night, take on Missouri Western. That's a 6 o'clock kick at Spratt Stadium in St. Joseph. First and foremost, it's the MIAA TV Network Game of the Week, folks. You can watch it on KSMO TV Channel 62 in the Warrensburg, Kansas City area. That's Channel 10 on most of your cable outlets in this part of the state. Just check your listings. Go to the MIAA.com for a list of affiliates. You can watch the replay Sunday at 4 on KMOS TV. One of 3 times we know of so far you'll be on the MIAA network. Great exposure for your program and UCM.
Yeah, the whole thing, our program and university, and then the conference. the conference is a selling point in the recruiting process. We feel like it's the best Division II conference in the country, and so we're starting to get some exposure in a lot of different ways. Of course, we have great fans. We led the conference in attendance last year, and we're among the leaders in the nation. So it's great to be a Mule right now.
You know, I've always heard this adage, Jim, that a team improves the most between week 1 and week 2 in football. First of all, I guess, do you believe in that?
Well, I guess I really haven't thought about it too much. You know, you just address what you feel like you need to address relative to your last performance. You know, we got out of the gate pretty good, so you know we just want to fix a few things, and you're playing a totally different team, so I mean that's part of the equation for sure, and so we're just going to do what we need to do to be successful against Missouri Western.
And one thing we do know, Missouri Western has their backs against the wall. They lost week 1 to Pittsburgh State 34-7, and it's also our first chance to see your team go on the road into a hostile environment. Of course, you're always anxious to see how your guys will respond to that.
Right, and you know we've talked about that. You know, Jerry Partridge is a tremendous coach, and last year was a classic example of you know how they bounced back from adversity. Their first game against Northwest Missouri, they were soundly beaten, and then later on in the conference they lost to us, and then they lost to Southern, seemingly out of the playoff race, and got his kids back, and they played 3 or 4 great ball games down the stretch, and actually in the first playoff game had that same Northwest team down at halftime. So he knows how to get his guys back. They've been there. We're expecting a great effort out of their team and nothing less.
It's always important to get off to a good start. Not as important as the finish. Your team has been really a team of finishers since you arrived here in the second half. With Western struggling in that first game and the 4 turnovers and the 5 sacks and only 7 points, is it more important to keep their offense off balance early in the game, keep them from getting any confidence or swagger?
Well, yeah, I would say that would be true any game, and you know what you want to do with whoever you're playing is create a little bit of doubt, you know, and if it's somebody that's struggled a little bit, then that's what you need to do. But we're going to be aggressive on both sides, and again, we're expecting a great effort out of their team, and we know we have to be well prepared. Well,
the thing I'm excited about, we saw a lot of guys in the first game and guys that were new to major roles. But I have this feeling we haven't seen anything yet. I think there are a lot of guys that are still going to be major players on this team that maybe didn't have a standout performance in week 1.
Well, I believe that we stayed healthy, and we have good depth, and we got a bunch of guys they're just chomping at the bit to get their opportunity, and so that's a good thing. We're getting them, you know, trying to get a lot of people involved like we always do on offense and spreading the ball around. You know, a bunch of guys caught passes again last week, so we'll continue to do that and you know, try to put our guys in the best position to be successful.
You know, one thing that hasn't been discussed a lot, you had some coaches in relatively new positions. Matt Jeter, it was his first game as defensive coordinator. Josh Lamberson has always been your right-hand man on offense, but he's now the offensive coordinator by title. And George Rickenstrick arrives on campus August 1. He's your special teams coach and linebackers coach, and I thought the special teams were outstanding. So that's something we haven't talked about a lot. Pretty good cohesion from your group of coaches who are in some new positions in week 1.
Well, it says a lot about them. We you know, I hire people first, and you know, they're very conscientious and they're very team-oriented people, and you know, I'm not a micromanager. I just, you know, they have a lot of autonomy. I think guys respond to that, and they're going to do a great job because it's their deal, and we saw the results of that.
And of course, you're probably not a micromanager because you were an assistant for a long time, from UCLA all the way to Montana State and Northwest. You know what it's like to be in their shoes.
I do, and again, it goes back to hiring the right kind of people. I just believe if you hire the right guy, just, you know, he's got passion for the game, passion for excellence, then don't get in his way.
Looking forward to the game on Saturday. Should be a lot of fun. We'll talk to you next week.
Excited about it. Thanks, Sean.
Coming up next on Sportspage, we'll get to know Mules senior quarterback Tommy Corwin, and our spotlight on the St. Louis DeSmet product is next here on the Central Missouri Sports Television Network.
Life is full of choices. I choose what to wear, what to eat, when to move, and when to rest.
I choose not to conform. I choose who to learn from and where to study.
I choose red, to be the one who stands out.
I choose red to discover my hidden potential. I choose red to inspire future generations.
Choose red.
Choose red. Choose red.
Hi, I'm Chuck Ambrose. Join me as I host Central Missouri Tomorrow on KMOS TV. We'll look at the Show Me State through the eyes of those who shape the vision and future of this state. In this episode, I'll speak with Brigadier General Scott Vanderham from Whiteman Air Force Base and Senator David Pierce about the challenges faced by our servicemen and women and how Missouri can help them access higher education. Join me for Central Missouri Tomorrow.
UCM's Office of Broadcasting Services invites you to UCM's Got Talent, a benefit for 90.9 The Bridge and KMOS TV. On September 16th, guests will stroll the gardens of historic Selmo Park and indulge in a tasty feast while UCM students present their artistic talents. Guests will have the opportunity to purchase original works of art and vote for UCM's most talented student. For ticket information, call 800-753-3436 or go online at kmos.org.
Thank you for watching KMOS Channel 6.1, Sedalia, Warrensburg.
And welcome back to Sports Page here on the Central Missouri Sports Television Network. In this segment, we shine the student-athlete spotlight on Mules senior quarterback Tommy Corwin.
In high school, along with many other accolades, Tommy Corwin led DeSmet High School in St. Louis to a state championship. After waiting in the wings for his term at quarterback for the Mules, his opportunity has finally arrived.
Well, it's hard to kind of view yourself as a leader. I guess from the position I play, playing quarterback, you kind of have to be. And I guess I got voted as a captain, so apparently other people view me that way too. As a quarterback, you kind of have to be a little bit more of a vocal leader. You're the one calling the plays and telling what other people have to do and just kind of leading the offense. So I guess I consider myself more of a vocal leader than anything else. Well, I played baseball my whole life, and then when I got a little bit older, I needed something to do in the winter and fall. So I decided that football would be the best route to go with that. So I decided to play football. Well, I played pretty well in high school, and I got recruited by Coach Clemens, and he showed me how great of a place that UCM is and Warrensburg in general. And I just naturally felt comfortable here with all the people on the team and all the people associated with the program. And that stayed true through all the coaching changes to with Coach Svoboda and everybody else. So I just like the culture around UCM. I mean, that's just a difference in personality and philosophy between Coach Fritz and Coach Svoboda. Coach Fritz is a no-nonsense type of coach, which made for him to have really good success here. Then you get Coach Svoboda come in, Coach Svoboda will joke around with you, and he'll let you be more outgoing and stuff like that in meetings and on the field and just kind of in general. So it's just kind of a change in the general demeanor of things. Not that one's a lot better than another one, but I kind of like the way Coach Svoboda runs things because it makes you feel a lot more comfortable as a football player just to concentrate on football. I think this is probably the closest team we've had in regards to freshmen and seniors getting along, sophomores, juniors, and everybody else. So I don't feel any animosity between anybody on offense and defense, upperclassmen to lowerclassmen. Everybody is friends and gets along.
In his first game as a starter, he tied the conference record with 6 touchdown passes in a single game.
You can't really judge yourself as a quarterback based on what other people have done before you. Kind of have to come and step in your own. This is a different team than the one we had last year. We replaced a lot of players, me replacing Eric, and a lot of the wide receivers replacing the great wide receivers we had last year. So it's really hard just to go out and say, I want to break Eric's record, or I want to go out and do this. The only thing I can really concentrate on going out and trying to play my game and then trying to get the Mules to win football games. As you can kind of tell by watching that first game, we replaced a lot of the dynamic players we had last year with more dynamic players this year. And then I feel as long as I play well and get them the ball, we're going to do great things on offense. Our defense is light years ahead of where it was at the beginning of last year. I think our defense is going to be one of the strengths of our team again this year too. So I think we're going to be good, and interested to see how the season's going to turn out.
Corwin graduated from UCM with a 3.74 GPA in social studies education and is currently working on his master's degree.
I actually graduated with social studies education, finished student teaching last spring in Warrensburg High School. I'm getting my master's in sports and business management, so eventually I'd like to work my way up and become an athletic director. I want to coach football at the high school level when I get done with college, and eventually try and be an athletic director. I mean, it's the people. People make places. I like all the people I've met in Warrensburg. I have a lot of my best friends have come through this place with me, so you can't really judge a place on being a place. You have to judge it by the people that are there, and there's a lot of great people in this town.
So things look bright for the Mules with Tommy Corwin under center.
As Tommy mentioned in that spotlight, he graduated last May with a 3.77 grade point average in social studies education. But before he enters the real world as a teacher and a coach, he's hoping to teach some MIAA defenses a lesson or two in 2011. Coming up next on Sportspage, we'll take a look back at how Central Missouri's fall sports teams performed this past week, and we'll chat with Jennies volleyball coach Flip Piontek. All of that's on the way when Sportspage continues right after this.
Hi, I'm Chuck Ambrose. Join me as I host Central Missouri Tomorrow on KMOS TV. We'll look at the Show Me State through the eyes of those who shape the vision and future of this state. In this episode, I'll speak with Brigadier General Scott Vanderham from Whiteman Air Force Base and Senator David Pierce about the challenges faced by our servicemen and women and how Missouri can help them access higher education. Join me for Central Missouri Tomorrow.
I choose to accomplish my goals.
I choose to follow through, to finish my degree.
I choose a university that's convenient and close to home.
I choose Red to transfer my credit hours without any hassles.
I choose Red to graduate on time.
The University of Central Missouri Summit Center in Lee Summit has academic programs designed to help you finish your degree and discover your potential. Learn more at choosered.ucmo.edu.
I get to watch performers I can't see all the time. Where else can I watch an hour or an hour and a half on Pete Seeger and see how this country changed through the 50s plumb into the 2000s? I can watch the Hudson River start dirty and watch a man with songs clean it up. I can watch Austin City Limits. John Hyatt, a name I would have never heard of. You may never have either, but watch KMOS and you will. You'll learn about people that can entertain you and can take you away, make you get away from where you're sitting right now and just really relax, really think, and really enjoy yourself. KMOS is my source of entertainment.
Stay tuned to KMOS Channel 6.1, Sedalia, Warrensburg.
And once again, thanks for watching Sportspage here on the Central Missouri Sports Television Network. Coming up in just a moment, we'll visit with Jennies volleyball coach Flip Piontek. But first, let's take a look at how the Mules and Jennies performed this past week in the opening week of the fall sports season. It was a good one for UCM Athletics. The 9th-ranked Jennies soccer team picked up a pair of wins to successfully open their 2011 campaign. The Gens beat Nebraska Kearney, a future MIAA foe, 3-1 last Thursday up in the Cornhusker State. Then on Sunday, the Gens got 2 goals from Becky Lackey to defeat Texas A&M Commerce 2-0 for their 27th straight regular season win. What a job by Louis Theobald and his Jennies. The 10th-ranked Mules golf team took second place at the Missouri Intercollegiate. That was held earlier this week at Portachima Golf Club down in Sunrise Beach at the lake. Joe Mignall from out of St. Louis paced the Mules with a third-place finish. He fired a 5 over par for the 54-hole event. And the UCM cross-country team opened their season last Friday at the UCM Twilight Meet. The Mules placed second, and the Jennies finished third. The two-time defending MIAA champion Jennies volleyball team has faced some of the top competition in the nation to open their 2011 season. Joining us now to talk things over is head coach Flip Piontek. Flip, thanks for joining us.
Sean, sure. Nice to see you again.
Well, it's pretty amazing, really, when you look at your schedule and what you've done to your Jennies so far this year. You were preseason number 2 in the country, which is great, but you went up north, you played number 1, number 6, number 9, and number 25, with number 5 coming in this weekend. You're facing the best competition in the country to start.
You know, with the team that I had coming back and the players that were on that team, I felt like I owed them the chance to compete at that level. You know, I feel like, well, you can tell the level of competition. I'm 2-2 up at that tournament, and I fall from 2 to 8. So right. the caliber of competition that we face was what we need to face. Not only will that prepare us for our conference season, because the Northern Sun Conference teams, you know, that's a terrific conference. And in 2012, our regions will align those two conferences. So I felt it was important to see them, first of all, for the level of competition, but also to prepare to play them in regional play next year. So it was terrific competition. And luckily, we got kind of wedged in a little match in Missouri-Rolla on Tuesday night between the matches this weekend, because this weekend we have Tampa coming in. They moved up from 4 to 3. So the players are ready for this competition. So
well, and you do have a veteran team. I mean, when you look at it on paper, you have 4 All-Americans back from last year's team that went to the Division II Final Four and hosted the regional and won the MIAA. It's just that the losses that you did incur were big shoes to fill.
You know, the libero position, not a lot of people know what that is, but Rachel filled that role, Rachel Pfister, for really her entire 4-year career. And so nobody else got any chance to get into that, to get some practice or experience. Rachel, you know, had that position when Taylor came. And Taylor Krejci, who was taking that role now, she's really doing a terrific job growing into it, but it's not easy. It's a really different role. You're taking a person in Taylor who was only on the court half the time last year, and now she never gets off the court, and you don't have a chance to mentally relax, to go off, get a drink, and then come back on. You're always on the court, and that process of growth into that position is difficult, but Taylor's doing a good job for that.
Well, let's go back now and talk about the first week of the season, a busy one for Jennies volleyball. They go up to the Concordia St. Paul Invitational. Concordia St. Paul, by the way, has won 4 straight Division II national titles. Take us through the matches. You win match 1, 3-0. Good win over 9th ranked.
It's really good. It's a really good win. It's a really good way to start the season. I thought that the team, we struggled out of the gate a little bit, but for the first match of the year against their first match of the year, both teams kind of, it was 15-15, 20-20, and right at the very end, we kind of pulled away of game 1. And for whatever reason, being able to win that first game, it really took the sails. You know, the wind kind of left Wayne State, and we had a very easy time in games 2 and 3, which was probably the worst thing that could possibly happen, because
there you see the next one, number 1 versus number 2. And I will say, I'm not sure another program in any sport has been as dominant in Division II as Concordia St. Paul, with 4 straight national championships. And let's be honest, they took you to the woodshed in game 2.
They did. You know, as a coach, we saw them at the national tournament last year. We saw them beat Tampa in the finals, and we have experience. We played them last year and the year before, so we have experience playing them. And for me, the opportunity to play a team that's that good is what your players need to see. Unfortunately, we saw them while we were playing them instead of sitting in the bleachers watching it.
You had a front row view.
You know, you want to narrow the gap between your team and their team when you play them each time, to get that gap narrower. Concordia St. Paul is better now than they were when they won the national championship last year. They're a phenomenal team. I was so impressed with them. We watched film afterwards, and whenever we stopped the film, their players, not one or not, all 6 of their players were exactly where they had to be in every single situation. And for us, that was a real awakening for us. And so,
well, it was a long night, but you did bounce back the next day. Northern Michigan's a great program, a traditional powerhouse, ranked 25th in the country, and you got the job done.
Yeah, and Northern Michigan, Wayne State, Southwest Minnesota, who we play next, those would all finish in the top of our conference. They're very, very good teams, very solid teams. The Northern Michigan match, again, both teams were 1-1 going into that match, so there was a lot on the line for both teams. The first game we lost, but it was a real slugfest. It was really nice. And then games 2 and 3, we just kind of worked our way through the rough spots of game 1, and then game 4 was a real nip and tuck battle right down to the end. So again, I thought winning that match was very helpful to us, but the win almost makes you too pumped up for the level of competition in this last match. Southwest Minnesota, you know, both teams were 2-1 going into that match, and both teams had a chance to make it a pretty good weekend. I mean, if you lose to the defending national champion, you can't be too bad. So both teams were set up to finish 3-1, and only one of them was. The loss was more a loss of being able to continue the focus that we had from the morning, and we were not able to do that, and Southwest Minnesota was. They were a terrific team. I really liked playing them. Unfortunately, it was the last match of the weekend, and that made that bus ride back from Minneapolis a little bit longer than
you probably didn't even put your head up until you got to Des Moines, I'm guessing, right?
Actually, we stopped for gas in Des Moines, and yeah, I slept after Des Moines.
Well, here's the good news. You turned right around, really, and played on Tuesday, and played Missouri S&T, kind of an emerging program, a new program. Went down there. I know they're always excited when the Jennies come to town, a chance to play a great program. They actually got up in the first set, but then you took care of business, led by Paula Harris.
Paula did a terrific job, and you know, for us in this time of the year, we've had different kids lead us in kills every game. This was really Paula's night. Unfortunately, in game 1, you know, when our team is, the players on the court are experienced, but everybody else is not. And it was Greek night, and the football team was in the gym, and they were giving away T-shirts, and it was a terrific environment. It was terrific. You know, sometimes when you go, the football team or the fraternities, they can be a little less than kosher when they're talking, but these guys were very good. They knew volleyball. It was a great environment, and we did not respond very well in the first game. So it was about 20-10 in the first game, and from that point on, we really controlled the level of the match, and I was very happy. You know, I really didn't want to get back on the bus on Tuesday, but the conference has changed the schedules to Tuesday nights, and I really wanted to see what it was like to get back from where you were on a Saturday night, give them Sunday off, get in the gym, see how much you can get done Monday, and then go play. And that's what we have to do in the conference. So it was really good for us to get back on. It's good for us to win too. So that helped. Yeah.
5 matches in, and we had to go to practice highlights here, practice footage to get a look at the 2011 Jennies. Of course, going to be at home this weekend. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes with the Peggy Martin Challenge with Coach Martin in the building for at least part of the weekend. She's bringing her Spring Hill squad from her hometown in Mobile, Alabama through this part of the country for some competition, so she's going to stop by for the Peggy Martin Challenge. But what are you most looking forward to now that you got 5 matches in, you've played great competition? What, as a head coach, besides the obvious wins, what are you looking for from your team this weekend?
To me, the key to this weekend, I know Tampa's here, but Tampa's a thing it's like Concordia. It's a terrific competition, and the question is how we will respond to that challenge. The most important match of this tournament is Friday night match against Pitt State. We open the conference season Friday night. So for us, you know, I know the conference is 20 games, but you can't start 0-1 on your home court for a conference season. Everybody's going to look at Pittsburgh State. They were at the Concordia tournament. They were 0-4. Everybody's going to say, oh, they're a terrible team. Guess what? Going 0-4 at that tournament in Concordia, you lost to 4 ranked teams. So all I did was watch Pittsburgh for 4 matches to see them get better and better and better.
Well, your overall win percentage as head coach is ridiculous. You're something like 66-10 coming into the year or something.
As long as you don't count the first weekend.
But I do remember the first home match of the Flip Piontek era. After sitting on that bench for over 25 years as an assistant, Pitt State comes into town. It's a conference match. Whack, you guys lost. And I remember you were just like, I can't believe the way we just played, and that just happened. A lot of good things have happened for Jennies volleyball since then, but I just get this feeling you're never going to forget that.
Oh, I never did. Well, actually, we've talked about that several times since then. But no, you know, he has the whole week to prepare. Well, we had a match. I don't know which is better. I like playing, giving him a chance to get back on the court, particularly since we lost that 4th match of the tournament. So I wanted to get back on the court, and it worked out that we had a chance to. Pittsburgh State hasn't had a chance to get back on the court. He's a very good coach, and unfortunately, what we watched him do last weekend, he will have do something different. He'll change. He'll prepare better. He'll be ready for this weekend. So they may be 0-4, but they'll give us everything we want on Friday night. So.
And for the folks who are coming out, a chance to watch some really good players and great student athletes for the Jennies, but some players in particular to watch. I mean, you have to start with Allie Huffman. She's been a 3-time All-American in your program, a terrific player, explosive player. Julia Bates is your quarterback, your setter, and just a sophomore. And then the list goes on and on. Paula Harris, terrific talent, leader on this team. Don't want to leave anybody out. There's lots of great players. Kelsey Ortworth,
all 4 seniors.
Yeah, I mean, they're all great players, but a fun team to watch. Hope people will come out.
It'll be really good volleyball. And that match on Friday night, as soon as you throw the conference factor into the equation, it'll really ramp up the caliber of play for both teams on Friday.
And as usual, the MIAA is going to be very tough. I can remember the days when it was the Jennies and Truman and everybody else. And then, Pittsburgh got better, and then Emporia got better, and then Washburn explodes onto the scene. Now, all of a sudden, you mentioned the Northern Sun, which is very top-heavy and terrific, but you'd put the MIAA as a whole up there.
As a whole, yes. The top 5 teams in each conference are very good. I'm very impressed with Emporia State's record so far this year. They haven't played the same level of competition, but he has a different kind of team. I mean, he lost a huge setter, he lost the vast majority of the points on his team, and his schedule is set for his team, and they're 5-0. They're doing a great job. So Washburn's 4-0, Truman's 3-1. So no, the conference will be just fine.
And Jennies volleyball has always had a front-loaded schedule, very, very tough. And you know what? It's always seemed to pay off. What is it, 29 years in a row in the NCAA tournament?
I got to say,
it seems to work for you. It worked for Peggy. So hopefully that'll continue.
Hopefully it will continue. Like I said, you're talking about the win. You're going to take out that first weekend of my 3 years, and I really have a good record. I got 80% of my losses in the first weekend of the year, every year.
Well, but you got a really good record the last couple weekends, and that's what matters the most. So, Flip, great to have you on the show. Hope a lot of people come out this weekend, and looking forward to a great season.
Thank you so much, Sean.
In just a moment on Sportspage, we're going to look back at the 11th annual Celebrating Central Missouri Athletic Auction and Dinner, the event that kicked off a new year of UCM sports. That's next here on our first edition of the 2011-2012 season for Sportspage.
I choose to be independent, to blaze my own trail. I choose what to create, how to organize, and where to share.
I choose what it means to be a change maker. I choose who to root for, who to work for, and who to care for. I choose red to broaden my world.
I choose red to discover my hidden potential.
Choose red.
Choose red.
Choose red.
Choose red.
It's a new season for the Fighting Mules, and a year after setting a school record for number of wins in a single season and ranking number 5 nationally, expectations are high. In their first MIAA matchup of the year, the UCM Mules will go on the road to St. Joseph, Missouri, where they will face the number 21 ranked Missouri Western State Griffins. Catch the replay Sunday, September 11th at 4 p.m. on KMOS TV, Missouri PBS.
Visit campus after I'd been accepted. I came here and I took a tour and kind of walked around by myself. I think that's really important for people to do, just kind of like walk around and just see how you feel like without the guided tour. I had a really good time on the tour. My tour guide was really helpful in answering questions and really made me feel comfortable and welcome here.
I visited the UCM campus several times, I think almost 4 or 5 times visiting. I really like the campus. It's a beautiful place to be. I came back several times with my friends who ended up going here as well. So it's a beautiful campus. I really enjoyed my experiences. By the 5th time, I'm pretty sure I gave the campus tour. So it was a really enjoyable experience, as has the last 4 years of my life been.
You're watching KMOS Channel 6.1, Sedalia, Warrensburg.
For one final time this week, welcome back to Sportspage. Before we wrap up tonight's show, let's run down our upcoming schedule of events so you know where to go to follow the Mules and Jennies. And we start with the 12th ranked Mules football team. They'll travel to Missouri Western in St. Joseph Saturday night for a 6 p.m. MIAA matchup with the Griffins. The Mules are 1-0, Griffs 0-1. The game will be televised live on the MIAA TV network and the replay will be shown at 4 p.m. Sunday right here on KMOS TV. Of course, we'll have it for you beginning with our pregame show at about 4:40 on 1450 AM, 98.5 FM, WarrensburgRadio.com. We'll join you at kickoff on 90.9 The Bridge. Another MIAA games this week. 15th ranked Washburn will host Lincoln Thursday night at 6. That's a game you can watch on the MIAA TV network as well. On Saturday, Fort Hays State is at Truman. Sioux Falls takes on number 2 Northwest Missouri, and Emporia State's at number 25 Pitt State. The 8th ranked Jennies volleyball team will host the Peggy Martin Challenge Friday and Saturday at the Multi on the UCM campus. Friday night at 7, the Gens Open Conference play hosting Pitt State as part of the event. Saturday, the Gens will face Azusa Pacific at 1. Saturday evening, the Gens will battle 3rd-ranked Tampa at 5 p.m. The 8th ranked Jennies soccer team will host the Jennies Classic this weekend out at the South Recreation Complex on DD Highway here in Warrensburg. On Thursday night, as you watch this show, the Gens are actually hosting Dallas Baptist. That was a 7 p.m. start. Saturday, the Gens will take on Texas Women's University at 2:30. The 10th ranked Mules golf team will open conference competition Monday and Tuesday. They'll be at the Pitt State Invitational at Crestwood Country Club in Pittsburgh, Kansas. And the UCM cross country teams will host the UCM Mule Relays Friday night at Keth Memorial Golf Course at Pirtle Springs in Warrensburg. The college races will begin at 5:55 p.m. And it's time now for our weekly Sports Page trivia question. Each week we give you a chance to win a prize from UCM Athletics if you can answer our question correctly. This week our question is, what did UCM finish in last year's Learfield Sports Directors Cup for NCAA Division II? If you know the answer, you want a chance to win a prize, you got to be first. Send us the correct answer to Sports Page Trivia at the address you see right there on your screen, or you can email it to sportspage@kmos.org. And with that, we conclude this edition of the Central Missouri Sports Page. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we invite you to tune in again next Thursday night at 7 and Saturday at 5 to keep up with the UCM Mules and Jennies. Also, visit our website, ucmo.edu/athletics, or follow us on Twitter at UCM Mules, all one word. Until next time, for our entire crew, this is Sean Jones saying thanks for watching Sports Page here on the Central Missouri Sports Television Network. Support for Sports Page is provided by Parker's Supermarket and Pharmacy in Warrensburg. Parker's works hard to supply grocery staples and spices to cook Italian, Mexican, Chinese, Indian, and Thai cuisine. The mission at Parker's is to make grocery shopping a welcoming experience for everyone. By First Central Bank, full-service banking from 7 locations in Warrensburg, Holden, Higginsville, and Odessa. First Central Bank, a residential mortgage lender, member FDIC. And by Union Station, crossroads to technology, a one-stop shopping source for technology needs. Campus-compatible computers, software for Mac and PCs, and much more. Located on campus on the lower floor of the Elliott Union in Warrensburg. Union Station, crossroads to technology. And promotional support for Sports Page is provided by 1450 Cocoa and 98.5 The Bar. 1450 Cocoa and 98.5 The Bar, the radio home of University of Central Missouri Athletics.